Welcome to the Childcare Genius podcast, the world's leading authority on childcare marketing, mindset, expansion, and profitability. Each episode will feature interviews with the brightest minds in the childcare industry to guide you into becoming a smarter business leader. Our hosts have opened 10 schools while raising 5 children. They are certified business coaches and are the top-selling childcare business book authors of all time. This episode is sponsored by Childcare Genius Marketing. Let Childcare Genius Marketing help you get fully enrolled and fully staffed. Visit childcaregenius.com for more details. Let's welcome to the Childcare Genius podcast our hosts, Brian and Carol Duprey.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Childcare Genius podcast. My name is Sindye Alexander. I'm one of the owners here at Childcare Genius, and I am filling in this week for Brian Duprey, who is taking a little break. I have with me the amazing Billie. She owns Billie's Busy Kids Early Learning Centers, and she has 3 locations in Washington, and she is very, very active in our Childcare Genius University program. We've gotten to know each other a little bit, and I just really feel like she has got a heart for kids. She has struggles just like everybody else, and she faces them with positivity and a solutions mindset. So I thought she'd be a great guest to have on the show and bring some inspiration to the world. So Billie, why don't you start off by just telling us a little bit about yourself and how you got started, or your vision for childcare, your vision for your business. We just want to get to know you a little bit better.
Well, first off, thank you so much. That was super sweet of you. I appreciate that. So hi, I'm Billie with Billie's Busy Kids. I'm in Washington State. We started out as a small in-home childcare center and grew into our first location. And we're kind of a unique situation because we're literally at the end of the road in a very rural town in Washington State. We're about an hour north of Seattle. So our little community was really opening to us coming in. We then grew during COVID and opened up an infant program, which is crazy. While everybody else was closing, we were expanding, which was bananas. We brought that center home, and then I rented a building that took a very long time to build, but we finished the build out just last month. But during that time, I also opened a place in Marysville that was about 20 minutes away. Yeah, it was kind of crazy. I think that, when it's the right time, you get those opportunities, and we jumped on it.
Yeah, so it sounds like you were set up to be poised for growth when other people were really struggling. So I'm glad to hear that you took advantage of that. So you have the 3 locations, and what was your total kid count, or your total capacity between all the locations?
Right. So we're smaller centers. That's a good question. I like them little, So one location is 61, another is 53, and the little one we just opened is 40.
Those are great size centers because and so big schools are amazing too, but with the smaller sites, you have that little bit more of a homey feel, which really appeals to a lot of parents because their kids are little and they don't want them getting lost in a big crowd. And so sometimes smaller is better, especially for this type of business. And if you can make the numbers work, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's been a privilege for sure. Yeah.
So what's the thing that parents say they love about your schools? What makes you stand out to them?
I think you hit it when you just said it's more like home. I think a lot of families say, it's like a second home. And that's really what we wanted to create, was just a culture of we are an extension of children's families. So that's, I think, one of the things. Another piece that I think we tap into is early intervention services, and really taking those kiddos that struggle or are having a difficult time and really connecting them up with, birth to 3 programs, as well as the school district. And we're really big on partnering and community events.
I wasn't originally going to ask you about this, but you just kind of piqued my interest because so many, I hear from so many owners and I work with the directors in our program as well. And I hear so many times that, the children that need those special services or that have the behavior related type of needs, they can really kind of wear down on the teachers. And so I want you to expand about a little bit more about what you do to give other owners an idea, because, I did also partner with those groups like the Head Start, Early Head Start, the early intervention services, and let them come right in. And it really did support our teachers and help the children. But tell us what you do, because I think that is an area, a pain point for a lot of our listeners.
For sure. Again, during COVID, we were really acknowledged for our work, right?
Mhm.
The world saw us through a different lens. And so we kind of took that opportunity to advocate, and we did a lot of lobbying in the state of Washington, and I think it was nationwide. But we received a grant-funded program that supported behaviors in general and mental health in child care and in children. And so we partner with them through our early achievers coach. It's called Holding Hope. We partner with them to help, bridge the gap between early learning, providing our daily interactions with them, and getting them extra supports like ECAP or developmental preschool, or the kids that are too old to go into early intervention services, helping them bridge that gap. But they also come into our programs with the parents' consent and help to create systems that support the classrooms, but then also just to acknowledge to the teachers, like, you are doing a fantastic job, or you're doing so well in this area, but this area, maybe try these techniques and see if it works. So we're really excited to be a part of that.
That's really one of the things that I loved about working with those early intervention services. When they would come in, of course, they would be the experts at getting the parents involved, and then they would also support our teachers by giving them some ideas or some resources or some techniques that maybe they hadn't thought of. Because sometimes when you're in the day-to-day of it, you just kind of lose inspiration and you feel overwhelmed and you can't think outside the box to try something new with the kids. And so when they're empowered with those tools or made to feel like they're a professional and here are some things you can try in this environment, it really just helps up level them and their mindset and basically the difference that they make. So
for sure. And
I
I think
love
it
that.
creates that culture within the program too, that other children who interact with difficult children, they their hearts soften a little bit, right? They learn how to work with those kids as well. So it helps them as well. So
Wow.
I love that piece
Yeah,
of it.
that is a good point. Diversity. Everybody's different, no matter what area of diversity you're talking about. Sometimes it's the social abilities. So
It
love
is for
that.
sure.
Love that. So what has been your favorite part about being a childcare business owner in all the
Oh,
years that you've been doing
so
it?
many. I think the thing that brightens my heart is when um, again, those difficult kids, but then also the families that find us later, that come back and they say, because you did this in your programs, it really helped me and my child get the services they needed at school. Or maybe it's just like I ran into one of these kiddos that came to my home and they spoke no English. They worked so hard in school and then they moved and I didn't see them for a long time. And then I was walking into my Marysville location and their mom approached me and she was like, "Oh, the boys, one is now in the military and the other is a teacher." And it was just like, wow, we had a part in teaching them English. Like, it was so exciting to see. Now there's a general, I think he's going to school to be a surgeon, and one in the military. I mean, that's pretty amazing to me.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I love that. I'm getting the chills because I mean, just a couple of weeks ago, I went through the drive-through in my town, and this little baby that I used to take care of handed me my food, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, Matthew!" Like, and he's like, "Yes."
How
Like,
do
how
you
do you
know
know me?
me?
Of course, because he didn't remember, but I remembered him, and I actually I had an experience a couple of times where it's a child that I took care of in my home, like early on when I first started out. they called my center later to enroll their own child.
Right? It's
Yes, I know that's how old I am. I'm very old,
it
very old.
happens.
People
And
tell
then
me I don't look it, but I
you
do.
don't look
I'm
it at
old.
all. Then the other thing I think that's really exciting is teachers, right? You get these young, excited teachers that come in right out of high school and just watching them blossom and grow. And then like I have a gal that used to work for me and now she teaches middle school. And just to watch her kind of grow and evolve
Mhm.
as a teacher, that's just been amazing. And then we have other teachers that have been with us for years and they're very happy and content and we're happy and content that they're with us, but it's exciting just to see their progress as well.
Yeah. So remembering all of those good, ways that we make a difference sometimes can help us get through some of those bad days. And that's kind of what I want to talk to you about next, because recently you shared, and like we're going to kind of flip the script. You shared in one of our groups that you were having just a hard mental struggle, like life was hitting you, and you just inspired a whole bunch of people to talk about how they pulled themselves out of it. And you shared some things. So just talk about some of those weights that we carry as business owners, and you could talk about that experience that led you to start the discussion in our group. But just be vulnerable and share what you can about when you get down and how you get yourself back out of that.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's the one thing I love about our group is that we can just be really open and honest. And I was really struggling. You know, I feel like our programs are so amazing and our teachers are so exciting and the opportunities and that community that we create in our programs. I just had a bomb dropped on me and it was a social media attack about not just my programs, but to me personally. And I was just day in, day out on social media. People are messaging me and I'm carrying this around and I'm breaking down. I'm not sleeping. I'm not eating. I'm not running my company. I'm letting this thing consume me. And it was I don't know, probably 3 weeks into it. And I was driving home and I was like, I need something positive in my mind. And so I went over and I logged on. This sounds so cheesy, but I logged into the Childcare Genius and I found a podcast on mindset. And I was listening to it and I'm like, this is what I needed to hear. This is the one thing I have to do. I have to do that brain flip to get out of it because I'm going to keep worrying. I'm going to keep thinking about it. And you know what? We're done. We're done. I went to my staff. We had all staff training, and I couldn't even get through our core values without pointing at a giant sticky note on a wall that said, integrity without pointing at it and breaking down. And my staff just giving me the grace to just leave for a minute and come back and receive lots of love from them. And then to focus and get out of it and start putting it behind us and building our programs back up and building each other up.
So I thank you for sharing that, because I mean, I think that if any childcare business owner has not had the experience of some sort of a social media blitz or attack, because the Karens of the world love to blast people. They feel powerful behind that keyboard sometimes.
Yeah.
And it could be something very, very insignificant, or just something misconstrued or misunderstood, or they're being held to a policy that they agreed to. You
Right.
know what I mean? Or usually it's they didn't pay their bill, and so they can't come back and now they're mad, right? Something like that.
Something.
If you have not experienced that, you're going to, and it really, really can affect you personally. You know that you are working as hard as possible,
Yep.
to make a difference for these kids and to provide great employment for your team and get all the bills paid and make this difference. And it just really feels like you've poured your heart and soul into everything. And then all of a sudden, one person is not happy and your world comes, crashing down around you, because just the power of the social media and those messages getting into your brain. So I appreciate that you were vulnerable and sharing that it did affect you because it does. And I think we all try to be so strong, right?
Yeah,
We try to be
for
so
sure.
strong. And then when we have a day like that or a couple of weeks like that, where we're struggling to try to overcome because we know we need to overcome, we know we need to be strong, but we don't allow ourselves to admit that we're struggling. And when you can admit it, it's like the first step toward turning it around. And that's exactly what you said you did. You're like,
Yeah.
I can't stay here. I recognize I'm in a bad place. I'm going to do something to turn it around. And it happened to be this podcast
I
hosted by Brian
know.
Duprey, but it doesn't have to be this one. I mean, turn
No.
on some music,
Yep.
get a good book, go
Yep.
to church, get involved
Yep.
with a group, have a girls' night where
Yep.
something where you're, with your girlfriends and you're not what turns you into a good mood?
Yep.
Go do that thing. Take an action to get yourself out. And I appreciate that you did that.
Yes, thank you. I
You're welcome.
appreciated having something at my fingertips to kind of go, really, really.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you're struggling, just go put the playlist or this podcast on your playlist.
There you go.
Brian, I mean, he's normally the host, but he's got so many positive messages coming through, amazing, inspiring business leaders as guests on the show. So hopefully this could be one of your resources if you are struggling with mindset. So I thank you for sharing that. Um, let's see. How about marketing and enrollment? I mean, you've got 3 centers. You just talked about how you were growing even when other places were closing down. If you could share with us like 1 or 2 of your most successful like marketing tactics or campaigns, like what advice would you give to another business owner that needs enrollment and needs enrollment quickly?
Yeah, for sure. I think, everybody, we use word of mouth, number one, but that just isn't cutting it all the time, right? So,
Mhm.
social media, of course, is one avenue, and a good website. Our website that we currently have is going to get a revamp, and I'm really excited about that. We're partnering with Blessings to come out, and
Mhm.
she's got the sample for me. I'm so excited. But I think really having a website that families can go to, as well as using your current families for reviews. So Google reviews, Facebook reviews, and then getting into your community. I love that's another value of our company is community. So we sponsor events. We have a railroad days coming up, which is just a, a a weekend of events, and so we do that. We have Halloween that we do. We do other events in the community like back to school nights, backpacks. We do a teacher appreciation, but just any way to kind of get involved in the community. And then we're brainstorming about different ways to kind of touch different families in the community by hosting, a mommy and me group or just something to get our face out there.
Awesome. So, talk about that mommy and me group. I was just talking with another owner yesterday who did something similar, but she had an odd twist on it. So I want to hear what you do.
Oh, I want to hear what she did, what she's thinking. So one of the brainstorms was that we could host like a mommy and me play group where the mommy, daddy, it doesn't matter, a parent play group where they can bring their young child in and just run it like we would an hour of our program. So then they kind of get a peekaboo about what our programs look like. They get to be in the classrooms. They get to hear the crosstalk with the teachers. They get to see how we do our transitions and just make it a fun, safe place that both moms and dads and littles can come and play.
That's amazing. And actually, it's almost exactly what she does, which I had heard in the past of just opening up your space to host a play group. And it's just like they get to come and interact in your, great big activity room, or,
Yeah.
your gym, and, do gross motor stuff. Like, it's like kind of like they lead it. And it's just like a place for young moms to come socialize and be exposed to your building and your staff. Right. But she was calling it a free preschool. And this was Robin Harris. She just joined our team as a coach.
Oh, wow.
And she goes around and teaches directors and teachers, so you may have heard of Robin Harris. And if you haven't, go find her on our Childcare Genius page. You'll learn a little bit more about her. But what she did is she called it for a free preschool. So sign up for free preschool, and once a week she would host 1 hour of a free preschool class, basically. And it sounds like what you're doing, but you're calling it a mommy and me group, but it's led activities. So
Yep.
they get to know the transitions, they get to know the teachers, they get to know the classroom. And what a way to really expose people. Like, you guys have kicked it up a notch, because you expose people who might be timid about enrolling part-time, but you're giving them, it sounds like either my kid is getting free preschool, or I get to go do this one class with my kid. And so it really appeals and brings parents in a
Correct.
different way,
Correct.
and then they get to know you and like you and
Right.
trust you.
Well, that, and
Yeah.
it's transparency, right? Like, this is
Uh-huh.
how we run our programs. This is our day. Come check it out.
Yes.
Hang
That,
out.
I think that is a great
Well,
marketing tool.
that's one
I
of our
love that.
goals. That's one of our goals
Yeah.
for the next month or two, is to get it going.
Now, you also mentioned reviews. How do you do that? Like, what is your technique to get parents to leave you those reviews? Because everybody looks online, and online reviews are really, really helpful
Yeah,
to give parents an idea as to what other parents have to say about your program.
for sure. You know, people leave childcare for many different reasons. They move, or, the program that they need to be in for, say, speech and language, they have to go to a different school district because that's where they live. And they need transportation. So when parents are leaving our program, we'll ask families to leave a review, and we'll just put it. You can click on this link and you can go right there, and you can, leave us a little review. We've also done it like a mass text through our parent portal. Like, we're really looking to add more information to our website and to our Google reviews. Please leave us a review. A new one that I just heard the other day was the tap cards. So we're going to get tap cards for everybody. I thought that was a great idea, which was just like a QR code as well, right? But this was just,
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember if it was Brian or somebody else, where they said you just take the card out and tap someone's smartphone and boom, you're right there.
Yep, your boom right there on, at the review site. And another way, if you don't have the tap card, like she mentioned, a QR code, you could put some QR code posters up in your school, or get one of those pop-up stands, like when you're having an event, or you could, if depending on the size of your lobby, you could have a pop-up, banner in your lobby with a QR code, so people, can always just, go right there and access your review page and leave those reviews. And if you get, one or two reviews that aren't so hot, that is okay. Really, everybody wants the 5-point rating, but a 4.7 is actually the most believable rating that there is. And if you're in the fours, you're good. Parents are going to be able to see through those disgruntled
Exactly.
employees that left, or parents that didn't pay their bills. People can see through that. They
Exactly.
understand. Yeah.
Exactly.
So don't panic if you get one or two that aren't so amazing, but it just shows that you're real,
Yep.
right? But
Exactly.
the more times you ask, the more times happy parents are going to go and review. And you have to remind them, because we never remember to leave a review when we're happy,
I know.
right?
It's
We
true.
only want to do it when we're upset. So you have to ask and ask and ask and ask to get the parents, and to remind the parents to go and do it. So
Exactly.
I love that you use that, and that you have a system for doing it. I love it. What about what do you do to retain parents, to give them that, that really great, amazing parent experience where they feel good, they want to stay long term? Like, what do you do to nurture those relationships and create that experience for parents?
Oh, see, I think just involving the families through every step of our relationship. In the beginning, it's, being present, getting to know them. We do assessments really early on when kiddos enroll. And so that way we can have an open and honest conversation first and foremost about what the goals are for the families. And then we try to make that happen for them as their child is enrolled with us. And then following up is so important because, the 5, 10, 15 minutes you get with them in the morning or the afternoon isn't enough. And so really staying connected. We use Lilio, but there's Bright Wheel and ProCare, and there's good old, handwritten notes that are just fine too. But just letting people know about your child's day, staying consistent, being open and honest about, accidents, and just really fostering that relationship early on, I think is how we retain a lot of our families.
I think you hit the nail on the head with that relationship building, and being in a relationship with anybody is mostly communication. It's mostly making sure that there are touch points, making sure that you're sharing information, that you're sharing feelings, and that you're being open and honest and transparent.
Yeah.
And I love that you use an app because everybody, is on their
Everybody
phones.
loves
It's a digital world. And it's like it's instant updates. It's instant updates into their child's day. And then there's always a record of it so they can go back, so they're not losing that paper in the diaper bag. It fell out in the car and now they can't find it.
Yep.
So I love that. So I really, really love that you stressed that relationship building factor and just involving them and keeping them in the loop. How do you train your teachers? What's your I guess magic in getting your teachers involved in carrying that out? Because sometimes they're not as helpful as we want them to be. Sometimes.
Correct. Do you mean specifically about the app or just in general how we do it?
Well, just in general, just that whole mindset of always being informing and welcoming and relationship building with the families.
Yeah. Well, I have an amazing management team, and they are always setting the example, always. And again, myself being present and kind of raising that bar about, communicating with the families. But my staff are the management team who are in training. They're just side by side with them the entire time, just really, again, fostering that relationship as well with the teachers so they can see how we communicate with the parents. And it does take practice and it does take time because we get, some people aren't comfortable engaging in that awkward conversation, right? And you just kind of got to get used to it. And I think it helps bridge that gap. And so that's what I think a lot of my managers are doing on site when they're working alongside the teachers.
Yeah, and one thing that worked for me too is, sometimes you have one teacher that's a little bit more shy than the other. And so they kind of figure out ways to where the one teacher might take the lead and do that communicating more of the times, and the other teacher, might be supporting her by, keeping the classroom engaged while parent pickup is going on, or, something like that. So they can find ways to make it happen and to accomplish the goal of having, a representative communicating with the parent and just really making them feel welcome and not be distracted by the children. So
because I don't just want someone to say, oh, Billie had a good day today. It's like, what is that? What is a good day? Like, talk about it. Say what they enjoyed doing. And so for that teachers that is uncomfortable, there is another seasoned teacher who's modeling it to them too. So
yeah, I always I love that. I used to tell my teachers, or my staff, that every single parent needs to feel like their child is your favorite.
Yep.
And every time they pick up, you have to have something positive to say about what they actually did. Like, oh my God, he was so cute when he was building this tower and Johnny knocked him down. And he's like, it's okay, I'll just build him again. You have to have something specific, not, oh, he had a good day, nothing to report. You show that you noticed their child and make them feel like you love them. You don't need to give them a list of, oh, he jumped off the couch and he threw the block and he did this, he picked his nose, because that's what kids do. That is our job. That's the job description, is to guide those behaviors.
Exactly.
You tell them how much you love caring for them. Yeah.
Yep. Spot on.
So Okay. I love when I find a kindred spirit. I just feel like we've
Yes,
got so much in common.
yes,
I love that.
we do.
So looking back, you've had a lot of experience in the childcare world. You've built 3 centers, you've gone through hiccups, you've had a lot of successes. What is one of the biggest lessons that you learned in your journey of becoming a childcare business owner?
Uh, that, there's so many lessons. Um, I would say I never stop learning ever. I'm constantly growing and learning from my staff. Um, but I think I don't want to reinvent the wheel. So if somebody's doing something that's working, I would like to honor them and do the same thing. Correct, right? So
Right.
um, that, and I think, I don't even know. I didn't even know I was going to own 3 centers. It just happened, right? I I
Right.
I would love to own more someday, maybe, but I think along the way, being humble and growing from each experience, I think teaches me a new lesson every time.
I love that. To always be learning, to always be learning. And that kind of leads into the next question. So kind of like that was your answer, because I was wondering if you could share what was the best advice that you've ever received and taken. Like you've implemented some piece of advice that turned something around for you in your business.
Oh, so many things. I would say again, never stop learning, number one, but um, gosh, there's so many. Um, the biggest
Okay.
piece would be, I know I've long paused
Yeah.
there.
No, that's okay. I mean, sometimes you're not sure, and again, never stop learning really does encompass it. So maybe that was the best piece of advice, and it's the answer to both questions. That's fine.
Yeah, maybe.
Because I mean, so many people, how do I say this? They have to tell you all the time that they're the expert, and they think that they've arrived, and there they are. They're the boss, they're the in charge, and that's the reason why. And you're like, no, there's always, there's a reason, there's a why, there's more to learn about this. And
Yeah,
the more you expand your mind and your viewpoints, the bigger impact you can make. So I mean, I feel like that's a really, really great point
yeah.
to
I would,
to kind of end on.
yeah, and I
Um,
think also I run one thing that just popped in my head was like my team is so important. And so just supporting my team is always
mm,
um my end goal, just making sure
mhm.
that they have what they need to do their jobs. They feel supported and nurtured, and somebody must have taught me that along the way. I don't know.
That would have been my answer. Like the biggest lesson that I learned was how to support a team. And that's why I wrote a book about it, because it was like my biggest struggle, and the biggest lesson that I learned was, how to manage a team, because I thought I knew what I knew. I wrote a business plan, and I was ready to open my first center, and I hired all these people, and we're all educated, and it's going to go amazing.
Right,
And
right.
I did not realize how managing adults was different than caring for children.
Yes,
And so that whole team building aspect of being a director and a leader in a program is big. And if you support your team, they're going to multiply your impact like you can't believe. And
1000%.
so you hit the nail on the head. I think that's one of the most important aspects, because you have to nurture that team so they can nurture the kids.
Agreed.
For sure. All right. Well, let's end on this. If you could give one piece of advice to any business owner, childcare business owner out there that is struggling, whether it's financially or with enrollment or their mentality, their mindset, what advice could you give? Because you shared some successes and some struggles. I know that you've been there. What has got you through? What, just speak to someone who's struggling.
Take a deep breath. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna take some work, but you're going to get through it, and you're going to learn so much more about yourself, and maybe even look back later and go, why was I worried about this? Maybe.
Oh, yeah. I got chills when you said that too, because that has happened so many times. You're going through an issue and you think, how am I going to get through this? This is the end of the world. And then, you look back at it a year or two later and you're like, oh, I learned so much from that. And now I do this. And I thought, the world was crashing down, and it was in the moment, but you got through it. It makes you stronger, and you can handle the next thing.
Yep.
When that happens. So
Yep.
I love that.
You can do it. If it's in here and you can think about it and you can put it into the universe, you're going to get through it and you're going to be just fine.
Oh, thank you so much, Billie, for sharing a little bit about your story and your journey with us here today. I hope that a lot of childcare professionals and business owners got, a little nugget of inspiration to keep them moving on. And of course, if you are struggling in your childcare business with enrollment, with marketing, with anything, reach out to us at Childcare Genius. We've got university programs, we've got free podcasts, free webinars, a lot of free resources, and we've got marketing services too. So, just reach out to us, because we might be a resource that can help you, kind of turn things around. And we would love, love, love to connect with us. So at the very least, get on our mailing list, childcaregenius.com. Okay. And Brian will be back in a couple of weeks. You're going to see my face with a bunch of amazing childcare leaders for the next couple of weeks. And I hope to see you next week. Until then, adios.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Childcare Genius podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please do us a favor and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a future episode. Don't forget to visit our website at childcaregenius.com to see a list of services we offer to help grow your childcare business. Until next time, thank you for being a part of the Childcare Genius community.